do is install Hyper-V. You want to make sure that the Windows feature is enabled. So you're just going to go into your add or remove programs in Windows, and then go over to the right where it says programs and features. Click on that, and then over on the left, it should say turn Windows features on or off, and just check the box for Hyper-V. You can click OK, and once this is done, Hyper-V is ready to go. I think it's going to ask you to restart Windows. I'm just going to say no here, because in a second, we're going to install WSL, and that's also going to ask for a restart. So we'll do both in one kind of swoop here. Okay, so for WSL, you want to open up a terminal with administrator privileges, and you're just going to type a super simple command. Forgive me, I'm narrating something that I previously recorded a long time ago. So we'll look at the command together. It's it's WSL install. So that's it. Let that run. That's going to take a moment, and it'll go out and just pull down whatever the, default version of Ubuntu that Microsoft has configured. I think at the time of this recording, it was 20.04. Either way, we're going to update and upgrade to the latest and greatest after this is finished. So now that this is done, it's telling you that WSL isn't finished installing. You have to reboot. So go ahead and do that reboot. And then when you reboot, this box will pop up, and this will take a little while for you. I've sped this up with Movie Magic, but I remember this took quite a while. So don't worry, just let it do its thing. And then you're gonna wanna create a user account. This is what you're gonna use to access your Ubuntu environment within WSL. So make sure to set a super duper secure password. And that's pretty much it for the setup. And then to just do the upgrade, you just do your good old apt update and then apt upgrade. That's just gonna install, I'm just gonna upgrade all the packages. I think I did a dist upgrade though too, to actually upgrade to the latest version. Let me see. Yep, I did. Okay, so after this is done, I think this upgraded me to 22.04 at the time of this recording. It doesn't matter too much, so don't worry a whole lot about that. Okay, great. So once your Ubuntu system is all set up, the next thing that we're going to install is Ansible. So we need Python and pip for that to work. So install those with apt. And let's see. The next thing we do is we just use pip to install Ansible. -- user for just the user that you created. Now, this right here is all you need to run Ansible, and you'll see me fumble around trying to run it, and it didn't work because I forgot that you just have to modify your bash path variable to point to the bin directory where Python stored that Ansible binary. So I was silly, and I just went and installed Ansible with apt, and that worked. So you can do either. It doesn't matter. You just need to make sure that you can run the Ansible command from within WSL, and it looks like this. So yeah, the next thing that we want to do is we want to install Vagrant. And for this, I recommend actually just going out to vagrant.com and the downloads page and just getting whatever the latest version is. Download the particular deb package since we're in Ubuntu. And I'm just going to copy that link and then wget it to our WSL system. And then we'll just install that with dpkg once it's done. So there's our deb package. I'm just going to quickly install that. And when that's done, you need to modify your bashrc file with a system variable. And this is just to basically allow Vagrant, within your WSL environment to access stuff outside in the Windows system, like the VBox manage console for using VirtualBox and some other things as well. Okay, cool. So now that we've done that and then we've sourced that file, we're good to go with Vagrant. We can do the -- version just to check that that's working. And now there's a couple Vagrant plugins that we need to install. And we see an error right away. I really don't know why this error is here. And I went out and, checked a bunch of Stack Overflow posts and copy and pasted a bunch of solutions. I ended up figuring out which one it is. I'm not going to, try to bore you with an explanation as to why it's happening. Just run this command within PowerShell, and it's basically going to restart WSL for you. And when it comes back up, you'll be able to use the Vagrant Plugin install command. So that's all you need to know. So we'll run that. Let's see. Yep, and then we just open up a new WSL Ubuntu terminal. And now if we rerun the Vagrant Plugin install command, magically it works. So there's a couple plugins. You want WinRM. That's what Vagrant uses to log into the Windows virtual machines and manage them and install packages and things like that. This is the WinRM file system plugin. You need that one as well. And I think there's one more that I needed. Elevate, right? Because you need to elevate to admin on some of the Windows boxes. I think that's it for the plugins. And what are we doing next? We're going to go ahead and download the Capsulecorp Pentest repository from GitHub. So you'll need to change it, into a directory, your home directory. It's mount C users and then whatever username you configured. Just rub my nose on camera. Apologize for that. And go ahead and git clone the repo, pull it down. Okay, and then when you pop into it, you just want to check out the Vagrant file. Just give it a quick look. It's probably not going to look like what you're seeing on screen right now, and that's okay. I'm frequently making changes to this file as I fix stuff that's broken. But when you navigate to this file, and it's in your Capsulecorp Pentest directory, and open up the Vagrant file. You just want to make sure that your WinSRV variable is pointing to a HashiCorp box that is suitable for Hyper-V. Because I think by default it uses VirtualBox, and I found out in testing that Hyper-V works much better if Windows is your native operating system. So I'm pasting this in here. I'm guessing for you, it's this file is, or this line is already commented out. So as long as it looks like that, you're good to go. And then while this is open, I might as well point out to you that those IP addresses that you see there are not necessarily what you're going to get when you run this, and that's okay. We'll fix that in a second. So the next thing you have to do before you start bringing up any VMs is open up your Hyper-V manager and go to this virtual switch manager. This is just the way Hyper-V does it. You actually have to create a new virtual switch. These default ones, they didn't work for me, at least not the way that I wanted it to, where you could connect to the Pentest VM, and then from the Pentest VM, you could then connect to all the other VMs in your target network. So create a new one, call it whatever you want. Obviously I call mine Capsulecorp Pentest, just to be simple. And then you want to make sure that it's checked as an external network, and then select, a network device on your system. So I hit OK there. Yes, you may have had to restart. I've sped it up, movie magic here. But once that's done, now you can do Vagrant up Goku, and you make sure to do -- provider Hyper-V. That's so we tell it not to try to do VirtualBox. And then here's where that virtual network comes into play. You actually have to type 3 to select the virtual network interface that you just created. So now, Vagrant's going to download the box image. That's going to take some time. It's going to import the VM into Hyper-V. It's going to take some time. And then once the machine is booted up and ready to go, it's going to go through all of the provisioning. And that also takes some time. So what I like to do is I like to just connect to the VM like this, while it's booting up, just so I can monitor, make sure everything's, okay. After a couple reboots, I think it's going to start the provisioners with Ansible. So these are all the tasks that these tasks have to be completed. So this is where people usually start to run into some issues. So just make sure this works. If this doesn't, just use Vagrant to destroy the VM and then bring it back up. But with Hyper-V configured, I have had very few issues with this provisioning process. So just make sure that this works. And when it's all done, you're going to get a little status message that says how many were completed. So there were 19 that were completed, 0 failures. That's what you want to see. Okay, cool. So what I'm doing right now is I'm going to pop in and grab the quick Active Directory credentials because I want to verify that AD was installed. I could just log in with the Vagrant account, but I want to make sure that the capsulecorp.local domain is actually running on this system, and I can log in with the domain admin creds. So I'm just going to do that real quick. As you can see, it's already got the Capsulecorp domain, so that looks promising. We'll try the creds. And the password, spoiler alert, they work. Okay, cool. So we know that Goku's working. We know that it's an Active Directory domain controller. You have to then grab the IP address. Remember I said those IPs in the config file are not probably going to be what you... Yeah, so grab this IP